Hi everyone, myself Jayashree of Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology. I'll be taking the second part of Module 6 and the topic is Principles of Indicating Instruments, and I'll be concentrating on Permanent Magnet Moving Coil Instrument, and this is my 16th lecture for the series EE216 Electrical Engineering for Applied Electronics and Instrumentation. Now the topics that will be covered in today's lecture: classification of measuring instruments, classification of secondary instruments, essentials of indicating instruments, and thereafter I will be moving on to the main topic, PMMC, Permanent Magnet Moving Coil Instrument, its construction, working principle, the torque equations, its advantages followed by disadvantages, and finally errors in PMMC instruments. So, classification of measuring instruments. Actually, it is classified into two broad categories: absolute instruments and secondary instruments. Absolute instruments give the magnitude of the quantity being measured in terms of constants of the instrument. Typical example, tangent galvanometer, which you have studied in your school days. Now, followed by the secondary instruments. The deflection of such instruments directly gives us the magnitude of the quantity being measured, but it has to be calibrated. They need to be calibrated by comparison with either with an absolute instrument or with another secondary instrument which has already been calibrated beforehand. Extensively seen in laboratories, industries and power stations. So we'll be concentrating on secondary instruments, and secondary instruments can further be classified into three groups: indicating instrument, integrating instrument and recording instrument. According to your syllabus, we'll be discussing on indicating instrument and integrating instrument. So let us see the classification of secondary instruments, indicating instruments. So from the name itself, it is clear that it indicates the value of the electrical quantity being measured. So indicating instruments are those which indicate the instantaneous value of the electrical quantity, voltage, current, etc. being measured at the time at which it is being measured. At instantaneous point of time, their indications are given by pointers moving over a calibrated scale. Typical examples of indicating instruments are ammeters, voltmeters and wattmeters. Now you are having another classification like integrating instruments. Integrating instruments are those which measure and register the total quantity of electricity in ampere hour or total amount of electrical energy in watt hour or kWh supplied to a circuit over a period of time. Typical example, energy meters which you see in your home. Examples are amp hour meters, energy meters, etc. We'll be studying in detail. Now the third one, recording instruments, are those which give a continuous record of variations of the electrical quantity over a specified period of time. Time factor is also taken into consideration. The moving system of the instrument carries an inked pen which rests tightly on a graph sheet. Typical example is ECG, and you can find recording voltmeters in power station which monitors the voltage in power station. So in this syllabus, we won't be studying in detail about recording instrument, but you will be studying in higher classes. Now, there are some essentials of indicating instruments. There are three torques associated with indicating instruments: deflecting torque, controlling torque and damping torque. Deflecting torque is a torque which deflects the pointer on a calibrated scale according to the electrical quantity passing through the instrument. The deflecting torque causes the moving system, and hence the pointer attached to it move from zero position to indicate on a graduated scale the value of electrical quantity being measured. So we'll be studying in detail in PMMC what is deflecting torque and what is the expression for the deflecting torque, etc. It is designated as T subscript D. Now you are having the controlling torque. It is the torque which controls the movement of the pointer on a particular scale according to the quantity of electricity passing through it. If the deflecting torque were acting alone, that's the most important thing, the pointer will continue to move indefinitely and would swing over the maximum deflected position irrespective of the magnitude of the current, voltage or power to be measured. It goes on. So also known as restraining torque or restoring torque. Why it is called that way? Because it opposes deflecting torque. It serves two functions. The first function being the pointer stops moving beyond the final position. The pointer comes back to its zero position when the instrument is disconnected. So controlling torque is designated by T subscript C. So that's the second torque associated with indicating instrument. Now there are two ways of obtaining controlling torque. One is a spring control followed by the gravity control. So spring control is being used in PMMC and gravity control will be studying in later topics. So spring control. In spring control method, a hair spring, usually a phosphor bronze, is attached to a moving system. With the deflection of the pointer, the spring is twisted in the opposite direction. This twist in the spring produces the restoring torque, which is directly proportional to the angle of deflection of the moving system. The pointer comes to equilibrium position when the deflecting torque and controlling torque are equal. Now, you will be seeing later on the controlling torque is directly proportional to theta, where theta is the deflection angle. We will see the expression for it later on. To give a controlling torque which is directly proportional to the angle of deflection of the moving system, the number of turns of the spring should be fairly large so that the deformation per unit length is small. The stress in the spring must be limited to such a value that there is no permanent set. Springs are made up of materials which are non-magnetic, not subject to much fatigue, low in specific resistance, have low temperature coefficient of resistance. Now second type of control is gravity control. Gravity control is obtained by attaching a small weight to the moving system, we will be saying, in such a way that it produces a controlling torque when the system is deflected. The controlling torque in this case is directly proportional to sine of theta. In the early case, Tc was proportional to theta, but in gravity control, it is proportional to sine of theta. Thus, controlling torque in a gravity control system is proportional to sine of the angle of deflection. The degree of control is adjusted by screwing the weight up or down on the carrying system. We will be seeing. So, that is gravity control. Now, there are several advantages behind gravity control over spring control. The advantages are, it is cheap. It is unaffected by temperature. It is not subjected to fatigue or distortion with time, unlike spring control. Now, disadvantages. It gives a cramped scale. The scale is not uniform. So, you will find gravity control in moving iron instrument. The instrument has to be kept vertical. Very important. So, advantages and disadvantages behind gravity control. Now, you are having the third torque, very important to any indicating instrument, and that is called the damping torque. If the moving system is acted upon by deflecting torque and controlling torques alone, then pointer due to inertia will oscillate about its final deflected position for some time before coming to rest. It will be oscillating. This is often undesirable because it makes difficult to obtain quick and accurate readings. So, in order to avoid these oscillations of the pointer and to bring it quickly to its final deflected position, a damping torque is provided to the indicating instruments. There are three types of damping. You can have air friction damping. For air friction damping, it uses an aluminum piston or vane which is attached to or mounted on to the moving system and moves in an air chamber at one end. Now the second type, fluid friction damping, it uses a light vane attached to a moving system and it is dipped into an pot of damping oil. The fluid produces the necessary opposing force to the vein. The vein should be completely submerged in the oil. The disadvantage of this type is that the damping can be used only, this kind of damping can be used only when the instrument is in vertical position. Now, eddy current damping, which you will be finding in PMMC. Eddy current damping causes a conducting material, uses a conducting material which moves in a magnetic field so as to cut through the lines of force, thus setting up a circulating current called eddy currents. Force always exists between the eddy current and the magnetic field, which is always opposite to the direction of motion. This is most efficient type of damping and is largely used in PMMC instrument. We'll be seeing. Now, you need to study the types of indicating instruments. You already know what is an indicating instrument. And indicating instrument, first classification is moving coil instrument. And in moving coil instruments, you are having permanent magnet moving coil followed by dynamometer type. In this lecture, we will be concentrating on PMMC instrument. And you can see the figure of permanent magnet moving coil. From the name itself, it is very clear that the magnet is of permanent magnet nature, and this you can consider as the moving coil. Okay, so this moving coil is actually rotating between these two phases of the horseshoe magnet. Now, PMMC instrument developed in the 19th century, 1881, by D. Arsonval. So, the principle is, this type of instrument is based on the principle that when a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, a force is experienced. The direction of force can be determined by Fleming's left-hand rule. Now, some of the features of PMMC instrument works on D. Arsonval principle, which you already studied in your school days. The coil is moving and the magnet is stationary, which you already seen in the diagram. So, it is called permanent magnet moving coil meter. And very accurate for DC measurements. Force experienced by the coil is proportional to a current passing through the coil. Now you can see the sectional view and the top view. So these are the 5 main components. You are having the magnetic system. In the sectional view, you can see this is the poles of the horseshoe magnet. This one acting as the north pole and this one acting as the south pole. Stationary magnetic system. Moving system, you can see the coil, which is actually mounted on an aluminum former, which is again mounted on a soft iron core. So at the center of the moving system, you can see a soft iron core over which an aluminum former, and above that you will find that you can find the coil. Now this is a spindle and this is a pointer, and the controlling torque is provided by the spring. And this is mounted on jewel bearings, and this is the scale, and here you will be having the mirror. So this shows another diagram, the top view. So horseshoe magnet, magnetic system provided by north and south poles, permanent magnet. In between the permanent magnets, you are having the magnetic field, and the type of magnetic field here is radial. You can see the diagram, and this you can find it as the soft iron core. This being the aluminum former over which the coil is wound. You can see the spring over here which provides the controlling torque, and on the spindle you are having the pointer attached to it. This is a graduated scale which is linear, and you can see the mirror which provides the reading without any parallax error. And this is supposed to be the balancing weight. So this shows the top view of PMMC instrument. So moving on to the first system, which is a magnetic system. As I had told you, it is composed of U-shaped permanent magnets which has 2 poles, north and south. Pole face curved, you had seen the picture, like inner surface of a cylinder, has a soft iron core of cylindrical shape kept inside the vacant cylindrical shape that actually forms part of the moving system. Now soft iron core, because it provides the magnetic system, it serves 2 purposes. Length of the air gap is reduced, you had seen, so that the magnetic flux linking with the coil increases, makes the field of the permanent magnet radial. In the previous picture you had seen radial magnetic system. Okay, makes the field of the permanent magnet radial in the air gap, ensuring uniform magnetic field throughout the motion of the coil. The magnets which are used nowadays are made up of materials like Alcomax, it's an alloy, and another alloy like aluminum, nickel, cobalt, and few traces of iron, okay, which provide high field strength. So that is of magnetic system. Now let us move on to the moving system. The coil provides the moving system. The coil uses a fine insulated copper wire of many turns and is placed over a lightly insulated rectangular aluminum former, which is in turn kept on top of the cylindrical soft iron core. The soft iron core was discussed along the magnetic system. The coil is so pivoted on jewel bearings that its sides lie in the air gap between the poles of the permanent magnet and soft iron cylinder, and the coil can rotate freely within the magnetic field. Now let us see the control system. Two spiral springs attached to coil assembly, one end of each spring attached to the frame of the instrument and the other end connected to the coil. One spring is at the top and second is at the bottom. So they serve three purposes. The spiral springs firstly does an important function by providing path to lead current in and out of the coil, provides the controlling torque when current flows through the coil, very important, keep the point at the low end of the scale, that is a zero position when there is no current flowing through the coil. Now the damping system. Here I told you that PMMC instrument is employing eddy current damping. The coil is wound on an aluminum former which provides the eddy current damping. When the coil moves across the magnetic field, eddy currents are induced in this aluminum former. The eddy currents exerts a force which opposes the motion of the coil, thus providing the damping torque. When the pointer settles at its final steady position, the damping torque reduces to zero, vanishes. Now the last and final part is the pointer and scale. The pointer is carried by the spindle attached to a moving system and moves over a graduated scale. Same indicates the angular displacement of the coil and hence the current. The pointer is a light aluminum tube flattened at one end to form a vertical knife edge. Scale markings are linear, spaced as deflection of the pointer is directly proportional to current flowing through the coil. Scale markings are linear. Now, in order to eliminate parallax error, a mirror is provided beneath the pointer. Weight of the instruments is counterbalanced by balancing weight. You had seen the balancing weight in the diagram. Now, working principle. So, the working principle of PMMC, when a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a force perpendicular to field as well as the current. We can employ the Fleming's left-hand rule, otherwise known as the motoring rule. This force tends to move the conductor. When current flows through the coil on the aluminum former, a magnetic field is produced in the coil in proportion to current flow. There is an interaction between the two magnetic field. This electromagnetic force along with the static magnetic field from the permanent magnet produce a deflection force in the coil. Interaction between the two magnetic fields produces a deflecting force. The spring then produces a controlling force to oppose the further deflection. Thus helps in balancing the pointer. Now the damping force is produced in the system by the movement of the aluminum former in the magnetic field. It keeps the pointer to rest position, final fixed position, after it reaches equilibrium with the controlling and deflecting torque, providing better precision while measurement. Now we'll see the expression for deflecting torque and controlling torque, and finally at the equilibrium state we'll see what is happening. Force acting on any one conductor. This is a fundamental equation. F is equal to BIL, where B stands for the flux density in Tesla. L, you can see the length of the coil side lying in the magnetic field. So this length is L. Now I is the current passing through the conductor. N, the number of turns of the coil which is wound over the aluminum former. So you can see the diagram over here. Permanent magnet, coil, soft iron core. The form is not shown over here. Now total force on N conductors can be determined by force acting on one conductor into the number of turns. So F is BIL. So BIL into N. Now torque is the turning of or twisting moment of a force. So TD is equal to F into distance between lines of action of two forces. You will see this force is acting in this direction, and this end the force is acting in this direction. So distance between two lines of force can be called as D, which is nothing but the either we can call it as the diameter of the core or width of the coil, designated as D. So F into D, F is BIL into N into D. So I can rewrite it as B into LD within brackets N into I. Why L into D is put in bracket? Because I can rewrite it as A, where A is the area of the coil. Now it can be rewritten as B A. This is replaced with A. So BAN into I. Why BAN is put in bracket? Because it's a constant for a machine, for an instrument. It is fixed at the time of construction. The flux density, area of the coil, and number of turns fixed at the time of construction. So that is a constant. We can say that deflection torque is directly proportional to current passing through the conductor. Now we'll see the expression for controlling torque. Otherwise, in some books you can see it as a spring torque, or it can even be called as a restoring torque. It is represented as TC, and you have already studied Hooke's law in your school days. This controlling torque is having an expression TC, which is equal to K theta based on Hooke's law, where K is called the spring constant and theta the deflection angle. So TC is equal to K theta. Now at equilibrium condition, we'll see what is happening. If the current is constant, deflecting torque is a constant. TD tries to rotate the coil and controlling torque TC increases. At some point becomes equal, called the equilibrium point. So at equilibrium point, there is no resultant torque. TC will be equal to TD, substituting for TC as K theta and substituting for TD as BAN into I. So I am interested in getting the expression for theta. So theta is equal to BAN divided by K into I. Why this is kept in bracket? Because it stands as a constant. So it can be replaced with S. So BAN divided by K is replaced with a constant S. So theta is equal to S into I. At final position of the coil, theta, the deflection, is directly proportional to the current. So deflection angle is directly proportional to current and PMMC. Hence we are having linear scale. Now there are several advantages. The scale is uniformly divided as theta is directly proportional to I. With a powerful magnet, its torque to weight ratio is high. So the operating current is small. Consumes less power of the order of 25 watts to 200 microwatts. High accuracy and sensitivity. Free from hysteresis error. Extension of range is possible, which you will be studying. Not affected by stray magnetic field. Also very important. Now we'll see the disadvantages. These instruments can only be used to measure DC quantities. Cannot be used to measure AC quantities. So it will show a zero reading always. Aging of permanent magnets and control springs introduce error. Cost of these instruments is high due to delicate construction and accurate machining. Friction due to dual pivot suspension. Now, there are three errors taking place in moving coil instruments. So, an insight into the errors. Errors due to permanent magnets, due to temperature effects and aging of the magnets. The magnet may lose its magnetism to some extent. The magnets are generally aged by heat and vibration treatment. Now the second type of error is due to aging of the spring, which provides the controlling torque. However, the error caused by the aging of spring and the errors caused to permanent magnets are opposite to each other. Hence, both the errors are compensated with each other. So, these two gets cancelled out. Now, the last one, change in resistance of the moving coil with temperature. Generally, the temperature coefficient of resistance of copper is 0.04 per degree Celsius rise in temperature. Due to lower value of temperature coefficient, the temperature rises at faster rate and hence the resistance increases. Due to this, significant amount of error is caused. So, main contributor is the third point. Now, you can see the reference books. I had referred to Basic Electrical Engineering book by D.C. Kulshetra, which you might have referred for studying first year BEE. A course in electrical measurements, electronic and electrical measurements and instrumentation by J.B. Gupta. It's a very nice book, and you can have a look at the NPTEL video by Professor Avishek Chatterjee of IIT Kharagpur, and the lecture 1 of electrical measurement and electronic instrument, which is a 30-minute video, which will give you quite an insight into PMMC. Very nice lecture. Thank you.